Alright, so I said in the last podcast that that was the last podcast. Well, I lied. Okay, so this is the last podcast. So I talked about the Galapagos Islands, a true oceanic island, in the last podcast. And so in this podcast I'm going to talk about the Hawaiian Islands, which is also a true oceanic island of volcanic origin. Similarly to the Galapagos, the Hawaiian Islands originate from a hotspot in the mantle underneath the oceanic crust, and as the oceanic crust slides above that hotspot, volcanoes form, build up, form islands. And as those volcanoes are moved away from the hotspot, then they become dormant and extinct, and they are eroded away by the ocean, so they eventually disappear beneath the surface of the ocean. While they survive, they are small islands, never connected to the mainland. The Hawaiian Islands are actually the furthest from any continent, the islands furthest from any continent. So species which are native to Hawaii have a dispersal origin. Okay, there's no vicariant species on Hawaii, and they're all dispersal. The species must be very good dispersers. The species there mainly come from North, South and Central America. The wind and ocean currents favor species coming from the east. Okay. So, the Hawaiian Islands, a total land area of about 16,500 square kilometers. The islands range in size from about 10,000 square kilometers to less than 115 square kilometers. So 10,000 square kilometers is about twice the size of Trinidad and Tobago combined, and that's the large island, the big island, they say, of Hawaii. Okay. Hawaiian Islands are about 3,000 kilometers from the nearest continent, which is North America. The oldest islands have been aged at about 85 million years ago, and that's Midway Island, which is very far off to the northwest of the current islands, which are above water. Hawaii, the largest island, then the youngest island is about 1 million years old, and the island which the last island in the main Hawaiian group is Kauai, and that's about 5 million years old. But there have been islands generated from that Hawaiian hotspot in the mantle for about 85 million years. So that's a long time for species to arrive on these islands, and before their island disappears under the sea, they will jump across to a newer island, and so on. Okay, so plants again on the Hawaiian Islands are dominated by those species which have reached the islands, being dispersed by birds, and there are no mammals, only birds and arthropods on the Hawaiian Islands. Well, there used to be anyway. Now, of course, with the changes brought by humans arriving on the islands, there have been rats and cats and mammals all been brought to the Hawaiian Islands, and also a range of plants as well, which also have acted as invasive species on the Hawaiian Islands. So the Hawaiian Islands, almost dead smack in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, a long way from anywhere. Politically, they're claimed by the United States, and they're used to dominate the Pacific. Hawaiian Islands, as I've said, down here, sit above a hotspot in the mantle, above the oceanic crust, which leads to the formation of volcanoes. And as the plate moves off towards the northwest, the volcanoes gradually become extinct and dormant and then extinct, and then they're eroded away by the ocean. So the biggest island, Hawaii, is currently over the top of the hotspot, and the volcanic activity occurs mainly on the southern edge of the Hawaiian Islands. The other islands in the Hawaiian group, Maui, Molokai, Oahu, and Kauai, are all older than the main island of Hawaii, and they've got some dates on here. So Hawaii is about 1 million years old, Maui is about 1 million years old, Molokai is 1 to 2 million years old, Oahu is 2 to 3 million years old, and Kauai is greater than 5 million years old. Okay, so species have been colonizing the islands generated by this hotspot by over 85 million years. So the types of plants which have arrived on Hawaii, this is a picture of a plant species which actually exists on the continental mainland of North America. It's a daisy which grows in California, okay, and it's been shown through genetic research and so on that this large composite, which doesn't look anything like this, is actually most descendant of this particular species. Okay, so this species of daisy or Asteraceae, which usually disperses by wind, okay, made it across to Hawaii. So this is one of the few plant species which is dispersed by wind, which actually made it to Hawaii, and it's formed this large, what's known as a silver sword. These occur at higher altitudes on the islands of Hawaii. Okay, this one of the main tree species is a Metrosidius. These types of trees also occur in other oceanic islands in the Pacific, most notably New Zealand. I believe that it's a relative of the Myrtaceae family, and it is dispersed by animals, mainly birds. Okay, and this has been one of the more successful plants on Hawaii, and it tends to dominate the woodlands in Hawaii. Okay, but it's mainly the animals which people focus on in Hawaii. Like the finches in the Galapagos, Hawaii has the honey creepers, and from a single ancestor we've had many different species of honey creepers. Each evolved to exploit a different niche, and some of them have some huge long bills to reach in and take the nectar from these types of Metrosidius flowers to reach down into the bottom part of the flower to get at the nectar. There are endemic bats on Hawaii, so bats must have been able to disperse across the ocean in that 85 million years. There is a seal, or there was a seal, which was native to Hawaii, one of the few seals that you get in tropical regions. There was actually a seal which was native to the Caribbean as well, but that was driven to extinction by humans who saw seals as a wonderful food source, so they basically overhunted them. The nene is a type of bird which exists in Hawaii. It's a flightless goose, okay, and it's very vulnerable to the introduced predators because it can't fly, so it walks around, and I've seen these in zoos and around the world, and they seem to be pretty stupid as well. They don't really have much sense when it comes to avoiding predators and so on. We've also got a picture of a snail here. Okay, there are a great variety of land snails on Hawaii, and as you probably recall from Mr. Rutherford's lecture on snails, snail eggs can be carried by birds in their stomachs or on their feet as eggs across great distances, and so they are quite often present on these remote oceanic islands. If the birds are present, they're present too. Okay, apart from the bats, there were no native mammals on Hawaii, which underscores the lack of ability that mammals had for dispersing across large oceanic areas. Okay, so Hawaii, another example of a very remote oceanic island which has been isolated for a very long time, given the species which have accumulated there through that time, 85 million years, and they have evolved into many different endemic species. The conservation situation in Hawaii, like the Galapagos, is fairly dire. Humans have pretty much wiped out 80-90% of the native habitat in Hawaii, and what native habitat is left has been degraded by invasive species of plants and animals, and it's changed almost irrevocably. Most of these honey creepers are very severely endangered, if not extinct. The nene, I believe, is extinct in the wild. It's still bred in captivity. The seal, I believe, has pretty much become extinct as well. Okay, there are still a large number of snails left because they don't really need much habitat. But it's no surprise that the vast majority of known extinctions in the world today are basically on or from island ecosystems. So those are my podcasts on the islands outside of the Caribbean. Okay, hope you've learnt a bit from that, and we'll see you at the exam. Bye bye.